Today, I will be telling a condensed story up to the conscious, self-aware person I am today. I will also explain the stages of awareness as they have happened for me. I can only speak from my own experience, although the people I've talked to about awareness and their journey have similar experiences, stages, and conclusions about awareness. Awareness is observing while consciously understanding. In my experience, there are 5 stages of awareness. They are repetitive forever. Allow me to explain a little bit. So enlightenment and awareness are very similar. When you are aware or become aware of self, you go through these 5 stages I'm going to explain. And it's a constant destruction and reconstruction of the self. That's what it means to be self-aware. At a point, you become self-aware and you accept all the good, the bad within yourself. And you either begin to change or you stay the same. It depends on what you want, what that identity is giving you, if that identity is serving you well. All right, so I'm gonna go through it. In my experience, there are 5 stages of awareness, and they are repetitive forever. Stage 1 is a catalyst of the self-destruction of the self-identity. Stage 2 is the catalyst to rebuild character into awareness. Let me just explain a little bit right there. So we grow up, get into adulthood, and then we have this identity in an early stage of adulthood. And there's a catalyst that destroys that identity. A catalyst is something that propels you into, in this case, it propels you into a new self-awareness or a new being, a new self. And then you have to begin to rebuild that character because you can't be an empty vessel. You can't be an empty person. You can be, and sadly, there are those who are. There are those who become empty and lose their identity and then never get it back. And that's a sad story. And then there are those that take 20, 50 years to get pieces of their identity back. And that's another sad story. All right. I know people like that. And it almost happened to me. I'm gonna go through that story today. Stage 3 is the repetition of stage 1 and 2 over and over until conscious awareness is achieved. Conscious awareness is when you become aware that your identity that you had is being destroyed or has been destroyed. And the awareness of it, so you become aware that your identity has been destroyed or is destroyed. And it's the repetition of 1 and 2 over and over again. So you finally realize, wait a second, I'm not this person who I thought I was. You know? So then it goes into stage 4. Stage 4 is the conscious self-reflection of stages 1, 2, and 3 while learning to cope, heal, and become self-aware. Let me break that down. So stage 4, conscious self-reflection. Remember, awareness is observing while consciously understanding. So in this stage 4, you start to get awareness. Conscious self-reflection of 1, the identity has been destroyed. 2, that you're trying to fight back and rebuild your character into awareness. Stage 3, the repetition. Now stage 4, you realize you repeated it so many times. Oh my God. When's it gonna stop? Well, stage 4, you're gonna learn to heal, learn to cope. Coping is accepting what was, what is, what will be, what will continue to be. So if you can accept those things that you need to accept, you can cope and begin to heal. And then in stage 4, becoming self-aware, become self-aware. Now you're at the beginning of self-aware, and you realize all these things about yourself, and now you begin to heal and start to become a new self, a new identity starts to build. At stage 5, and that last part of becoming self-aware goes into stage 5. Stage 5 is a repeat of stages 1 through 4 at a faster pace. At this point, one has a choice to either regress or move on into a new level of awareness. So you can either choose to regress and destroy your identity and then do the repeat cycle again. God, please don't. And then, or become self-aware. You become self-aware and be like, okay, this is me, and this is a new me. The old me is gone. Bye-bye. So you start to rebuild that new self character, but that doesn't mean that you don't take pieces from the old self into the new self. You're growing up. That's the point. Your identity is going to be destroyed and rebuilt all over again. Probably many times. I'm only 31. It only happened to me several times, but I'm at a point. This is my journey I'm telling you about. Becoming self-aware, becoming consciously self-aware. When I say who I am now, it is in reference to the thoughts and beliefs that make me who I am. I'm in my awareness, the principles, values, limitations, attributes, wisdom, emotion, negative and positive beliefs, the core reasons why I think and behave a specific way. That is who I am. Those are the things that make me me. And you, that is who we are. Those things that I said. Alright, now it's the serious part. Now it's my story from my own self-reflection to keep me into the new self that I am. My stage 1 experience, the catalyst of my self-identity destruction, was in 2009, 1 year after I graduated. I was at a bar, underage drinking. A few people were hanging around outside. I asked a stranger for a cigarette. He gave me one. I lit it up. I deeply inhaled. I said, damn, that's a good cigarette. I felt a strange sensation. I thought I was lightheaded from the cigarette, but later that night, I became delusional. We parked by a river. I got out the car and began cursing at God in the sky. In my perception, the clouds darkened, blackened, and became reddish, with reddish hues. I told my friend I could walk on water. Let's do this, dude. I can walk on water. I'm Jesus Christ. Right? So that's a lot of people. So at this point, you know the cigarette was laced. And that sent me on a trip for a long time. I'll get into that. So the sky blackened, turned red with reddish hues at the bottom edges of the cloud. I told my friend I could walk on water. He tried to stop me, but it was too late. I had already plunged into the freezing water. Freezing water. I didn't mention it was February. Obviously, the cigarette was laced. Most likely with PCP. My stage 1 experience lasted 4 years. 4 years. I don't remember most of it. My family tells me stories of the way I acted. I feel ashamed, felt ashamed. It's still there, it's still residual. But it wasn't me. It was a destroyed identity. It was the catalyst. The catalyst in that case was the cigarette, laced the cigarette. I didn't have to go through that experience, but maybe I did. I don't know. I don't question that. I just say that it happened. It is what happened. It is what it is. At that time, I don't believe I had much of a conscious self or any awareness of who I was or any control over my behavior or thoughts. And I didn't have any control over my thoughts. People say you can't control your thoughts. Well, you kinda can. But at that time, my thoughts just went. My thoughts just not only raced, they reacted to the environment at the speed of light, at the speed of thoughts. Did you know that, it's a little fact, did you know that the message from your brain to a different part of your body, your finger, your toe, your leg to move, travels at 225 miles per hour. So imagine those delusional thoughts traveling that fast, reacting upon the environment. Any little thing, a squirrel, a dog, a cat, or something mixed with something somebody said that I misheard or perceived to be about some delusion. I don't even remember, but that's the gist of it. That's kind of how it went. My stage 2 catalyst to rebuild self-awareness was a wonderful, loving moment. This is a good part. I remember the exact moment, and I do, that I got a glimpse of myself and realized I was absent for so long. It was in 2013. I realized I was released from a psychiatric hospital, and me and this woman met a few months later. One day in her apartment, she held my hand tightly and said, "This is what you're missing, Chris." She said, "This is what you're missing." She looked in my eyes and she told me that. And I remember looking in her eyes and it was deep. She looked deeply into my eyes with just so much love. And it was a beautiful thing. I'll never forget that. She said, "This is what you're missing, Chris." I looked at her in a blank stare with a feeling I didn't understand, and that was love. She continued saying, "This is what you're missing, and is the only thing wrong?" I asked, "What is it?" "Something's missing." She answered, "Love," and she told me that she loved me. And I felt the love, but I was still living in my mind of self-identity destruction. And that catalyst to wake me up to begin me into the rebuilding of character awareness was that moment and that act of love. We were in a relationship for 3 years. We're not in a relationship anymore, but we are still friends. And I love her very much, and I do. And I'm friends with her family. I see her holidays, and that's a shout out to her. My stage 3 experience, stage 3, began in 2016. It was the choice to come back into self-awareness while repeating stage 1 and 2. I thought I could start life over and forget the torment of my mind. I did things like work in college. After a few months, I couldn't handle the mental anguish, so I quit. Over and over, repeatedly starting jobs in college to later quit because the limitations of my thoughts. I was still having those delusions. I was still having those. Every now and then, when the pressure would come on, I would have those delusions, and I would, like I said, reacting to the environment, reacting to my knowledge of my general knowledge and my environment and things people say and the way people act. Because body language is 70% of communication. So when I was perceiving everything, and I could see the meanness towards from one person to another. I could see the grudges from one person to another. I could tell the other person was having a bad day, and I'm empathetic. So I feel you. I feel your emotion. Empaths, we mimic other people's emotions based on what we perceive. And like I said, 70% of communication through two or more people is body language. And this is my stage 5. This is where, I didn't finish that. After a few months, I couldn't handle the mental anguish, so I quit over and over, repeatedly starting jobs and later on quit because of the limitations of my thoughts. So I decided to focus on healing. That's when I really dug deep and was like, well, I found out my limitations. I thought, well, wait a second. I thought I was rebuilding my character and becoming self-aware. Now I have to figure out my limitations. What? That's the new identity. It's part of the new identity. It's part of the new me. I got limitations now. I took a hit of that cigarette. Blew me away for all them years. So now I got limitations. And I have to rebuild that into my character. I have to fortify that into my character. Stage 5 hit me like a train. It hit me like a train wreck. The catalyst was on May 31st, 2018. So stage 5 is back into stage 1. Where complete identity loss, complete self-identity loss, complete destruction of the identity. My brother Joshua Capriati suddenly passed away at 26 years old. Our loss still pulls at our hearts, still pulls our hearts down deeply into our chests. We remember good times and the bad. But at that time, he was doing so well. In school, at work. But inside himself, he felt alone. I remember him telling me, I want to see who's on my side, bro. I was like, yo, you got me. I'm on your side, bro. I love you. I told him that if he left, I would have no one. Who would I have if I didn't have my brother? I have other brothers and sisters, but that brother, I chilled with that brother every day. And that brother was there with me through all these stages. So you see how much this hurts me. He was with me through my mental anguish, in and out, but he was there and he made it count. So when I got better, I was there with him and I made it count. And we had just hung out maybe a week and a half before he died. Although I doubt very much, he died not knowing he loved him. He was loved. To the moon and back, we always say. That's on t-shirts now, but we've been saying that since we were kids. I passed through all those stages in 1 year. So did every member of my family. We are a lot less of ourselves, with such a big part of the love we had in this world gone forever. Forever Big Cat 91, that's his gamer tag. He was #1 in the world in SoCon when it first came out, before all the hackers. When he died at 26. And so I kind of thought of him as 26 years old forever. When I saw him on The Good Die Young. After a bunch of technical difficulties, I'm back on track, and I'm still getting technical difficulties. Right at the point I started talking about my brother, that's, alright. Strange. Anybody who's lost anybody knows that they send messages, and I hope that it means that he's happy and approves. Why wouldn't he? I still have mental illness. But now I know I'm able to cope because I choose to keep fighting for the mind that I own. I'm going to suggest a book, How to Own Your Own Mind by Napoleon Hill. A lot of that for me was reiteration of things that I'd already learned, but it was good. It was a good way to recite what I had already learned. I may have limitations, although now I see them as dangerous obstacles to avoid. They're dangerous because they're my limitations. They cause me to regress. They cause me to recede back into a place, a void of self-destruction of the identity. And I'm going to talk, later in my videos, I'm going to talk about an ebb and wane of just, I'm going to talk about, they call it mentalism, but it's really just life. It's really just MBSI, mind, body, soul, insight. It's more just life, of what life is, in a perspective that will broaden your mind. I've had the determination the entire time, always had the determination since I was a kid. When I picked up the tools to gain self-awareness, conscious self-awareness, I also gained a renewed life. By telling you my experience, it is my intent. My intent is that you or someone you know may gain hope for a renewed mind. I still have my bad days, but now they are less intense and more so less often. Medication, number one, medication. A lot of people play down medication because, you know why they do that? Because it's such a taboo topic that you're either extreme left or extreme right. That's what it is. They're playing off your emotions. So if you're watching my video and you are told by everyone around you that you need medication, you need medication. Because it's not just medication. Medication, CBT as well as DBT therapy, meditation, exercise, healthy food, reading, writing, and the support of people in our lives. That's what keeps you healthy, all those things. On a daily basis, it takes to maintain your mind. It takes to maintain your life. We constantly need self-maintenance. All of these things are vitally important to consistently include in a daily maintenance of a healthy mind. I like to say awareness is easy on all my videos. No worries, awareness is easy. That is true, but the journey is beyond difficult. My hope is to make your journey a little more comfortable by giving you the wisdom I've gained from my experience. That concludes this video. No worries, awareness is easy. Have an easy one. Peace.